As we conclude our study on the four tissues of the human body, we take time to address two questions. 1. How do the four tissues of the human body respond to injury? And 2. How does aging impact these tissues? In Module 4.8, we addressed the first question, namely, the response of tissues to injury. Here, in Module 4.9, we address the second question, namely how aging affects the tissues of the body. Let's begin now. Aging has two important effects on tissues. 1. Aging impacts tissue structure by decreasing the body's ability to repair damage to tissues. And 2. Cancer is more likely to occur with aging. First, let's discuss how aging impacts the body's ability to repair damage to tissues. With age, numerous anatomical and physiological changes occur. Some of these changes have pleiotropic effects, which means that one physiological change can have numerous effects impacting multiple tissues and organ systems. For example, decreasing activity of the endocrine system, which produces hormones, can have far-reaching impacts on all the tissues of the body. Decreasing levels of hormone production can cause a decrease in the speed and effectiveness of tissue maintenance and tissue repairs. A decrease in hormone levels may also cause a decrease in appetite and energy consumption, a reduction in physical activity, and cause a more sedentary lifestyle. Ultimately, the combined impact of these factors result in alterations of the structure and chemical makeup of multiple tissues. Consider epithelia and connective tissues. For example, epithelia tend to get thinner with age, and connective tissues become more fragile. Given that the integument is made of epithelia and connective tissue, it is not surprising that elderly individuals bruise more easily. Some of the effects of aging are genetically programmed. For example, as people age, their chondrocytes, which build the extracellular matrix of cartilage, produce a slightly different form of the gelatinous compound making up the cartilage matrix. Thus, the cartilage of the elderly is thinner and less resilient. Hormonal changes also impact osseous tissue, or bone tissue. Bones become more brittle and joint pain increases, thus incidences of broken bones are more common in the elderly. Some of the age-related changes in tissue structure in bone have multiple causes. For example, the age-related reduction in bone strength in women, called osteoporosis, which we will discuss in more detail in Module 6 on the skeletal system, is often caused by a combination of inactivity, low dietary calcium intake, and a reduction in circulating estrogens. Thus, physicians recommend a program of exercise, calcium supplements, and in some cases, medication to maintain normal bone structure for many years. As we learned in Modules 4.7 and 4.8, cardiac muscle fibers have low regenerative capacity, even in youth. In the elderly, these cannot be replaced, and cumulative losses from relatively minor damage can contribute to major health problems, such as cardiovascular disease. Like cardiac muscle tissue, neural tissue, even in youth, has low regenerative capacity. In the elderly, a corresponding deterioration in mental functions occurs. Finally, let's discuss the correlation between aging and cancer rates. Cancer is actually a collection of more than 100 different diseases. What all cancers have in common is a loss of control of the rates of cell division. Our cells have many gene products, namely proteins, that are involved in controlling cell divisions. Mutations in our DNA are constantly impacting the quality of these proteins and their functions. When a mutation occurs in our DNA, the mistakes are often recognized and corrected by repair machinery, which are proteins. As we age, the accuracy and efficacy of these repair proteins declines, and the number of mutations increases. Thus, with aging, there's an accumulative effect resulting in the buildup of mutations in our DNA. When the DNA of a gene that is involved in regulating when and how often our cells divide, it increases the likelihood of cancer developing. Thus, as we age, cancer becomes more likely. It has been estimated that 70 to 80% of cancer cases result from mutations in genes due to chemical exposure, environmental factors, or some combination of the two. And 40% of these cancers are caused by cigarette smoke. Roughly 25% of all people in the United States develop cancer at some point in their lives. Each year in the United States, over 500,000 individuals die of cancer. It is second only to heart disease as a cause of death. As we further our studies into the various organ systems of the human body in Modules 5 and onward, we will return to the subject matter of how these systems address injury and how aging impacts these systems. Join us in our next study as we begin our exploration of the integumentary system in Module 5.